No longer do you have to feel hunted, stalked, or assaulted. ArtisticMinistry.net is pleased to present a program for victims of gang stalking. We'll provide info on websites, books, articles, YouTube channels, and podcasts to help you understand what you're dealing with and how and where to get help. Arm yourself with knowledge.
Almost everyone has heard the expression information equals power or knowledge equals power. What kind of power? At the core, the power to choose. When you have information or knowledge about something or someone, then you have power to choose how you will interact with that something or someone. That pretty much holds true with life in general regarding knowledge and information. It enables you with the power to choose what to do with your time, how you'll spend your money, how you'll spend your energy. Information or knowledge even gives you the power to choose what to worship and in what capacity you're going to worship. Information can even help you determine with whom to spend the precious hours of your day. And for us, as empowered individuals, it's the same thing. When we have information or knowledge about what we're going through, gang stalking, and how it is affecting our lives, then we have the power to choose how to deal with being a victim of targeting. In fact, one can go so far as to say that with information on gang stalking, what it is, how it works, who are the likely perpetrators of gang stalking, then that feeling of being a victim goes away. It might not go away forever, but the confusion, chaos, uncertainty, and fear about this particular victimization loses its power. One more time, the overwhelming power of gang stalking and that debilitating feeling of fear and victimization is diffused and even squelched simply by knowing what gang stalking is, how it works, who's orchestrating it, and even why they're doing it. There's a gradual growing pool of information and resources that are available for targeted, or rather empowered individuals, and in this series, Arm Yourselves with Knowledge, ArtisticMinistry.net is going to check some of them out, providing reviews on websites, podcasts, YouTube channels, books, and maybe the occasional movie. This first episode is a book review of Kathy Meadows' Surviving and Thriving as a Targeted Individual. We'll check out the overall presentation, themes and topics, sensitivity, and her knowledge about gang stalking and targeting, and whether or not our ministry encourages and approves of this title as a dependable weapon in this war, not of flesh and blood. Published in August of 2017, Kathy Meadows' paperback book, Surviving and Thriving as a Targeted Individual, is only 25 pages long and is small enough, 6 inches by 9 inches by 0.07 inches, to fit comfortably in a backpack or purse. You can order it online from various websites such as eBay, Goodreads, Google, Desert Cart, and Abe's Books, to name a few. We purchased our copy from Amazon. At the time, new copies were selling for $6.99, and it was also available on Kindle for just $3.75. So for the category Accessibility and Affordability, we give Meadows' book the full 20 points. Kathy Meadows has a master's degree in clinical psychology, and it is in that capacity that she wrote Surviving and Thriving. Meadows has worked with clients dealing with gang stalking and has been an advocate, consultant, and an expert witness for targeted individuals for over a decade. Also, Meadows herself is a victim of gang stalking. With that information right there, her work receives another 20 points approval for author's knowledge of understanding. Why, you ask? Perhaps one of the hardest aspects of gang stalking is difficulty in proving and documenting what we're experiencing. It is often hard to describe in clear, logical language what's going on, ensuring that the person we're speaking to will not assume we're exaggerating, hallucinating, blowing things out of proportion. Sound familiar? In the very first paragraph of the first page, Meadows writes, "The types of crimes that my clients suffer include being stalked and harassed by groups of people, workplace mobbing, public mobbing, illegal entry into their homes and vehicles, extreme slander, computer and phone hacking, bugging of their homes, phones, etc., constant surveillance, vandalism, biological, chemical assaults, and remote weapons assaults." She has been working with our demographic for over a decade and believes what her clients are sharing. She is writing from a place of understanding, having witnessed their ordeals, and has taken them serious. Enough so that she's written a book for others who are not a part of her practice to receive her support and suggestions. That is why she receives 20 points in this particular category. Meadows' work is divided into small, easily digestible sections with bold-typed, eye-catching titles. The topics are of interest, especially for those of us who are currently dealing with them and do not have anyone to talk to or get any type of advice, suggestions, or confirmation. Some of the topics are controlling your thoughts and behaviors so no one else can, things that you can do to lift your spirits and keep you on the right track, types of targeting, can the targeting be stopped, taking care of your tempo, don't get paranoid, and keep fighting, never give up. The information and insight in each section is practical, grounding, and helpful. It's obvious that she has sat with T.I.s and discussed very deep personal issues that this type of torture cultivates, issues that nearly all of us have dealt with in one way or another, yet perhaps never had anyone speak so clearly and non-judgmental, making it possible to hear her advice and maybe even decide to follow up on it. For example, the section taking care of your temple. We know that one of the results of the constant harassment, sleep deprivation, color coding, stalking, breaking and entering is depression, and a clear indicator of depression is a sloven, unkempt appearance, which in turn is more fuel for our perps to throw on the fire and use against us. I'm sure we've all heard them wearing that mask of a concerned friend who's just so worried about Aisha she really is starting to let herself go, or Javon must be losing the little bit of get right he had. When was the last time their brother shaved? Sound familiar? Meadows, in terms of personal appearance and even housework, makes a logical and constructive point in the first sentence of this section. Quote, "It's hard to overstate the importance that simple cleanliness and hygiene has on your physical and emotional health. A clean, orderly environment reflects back at you and helps you to think more clearly." This 25-page read is chock full of this appreciative sound advice geared specifically for us. Yes, there are others suffering from issues that can benefit from Meadows' advice, but she had you and I in mind, targeted individuals. She also provides websites for the reader to check out: medicaldaily.com, youtube.com, Psychology Today, Science Daily, adaa.org/livingwithanxiety, to name a few, earning her book another 20 points for worthwhile information and resources. At this point in the review, I'd like to focus on an interesting and extremely noteworthy section in Meadows' work, which she titled Targeted Women. There are probably not too many informed, empowered individuals who have not heard the interviews and excerpts from the former security employee Brian Cofrin, who blew the whistle on the gang-stalking practices carried out by a security firm in Washington state. He gave the statistic that between 70 and 75% of all gang-stalking victims are women. Meadows does not mention or reference Cofrin, but her insight on our special dilemma in this demographic more than confirms what he briefly mentions. Meadows offers her theory that two of our primary instinctual attributes are nurturing and, believe it or not, talking. She states very clearly that as children, girls develop communication and verbal skills far earlier than our counterparts, which might be an indicator of higher functioning or intelligence and even greater leadership abilities. Yet, as Meadows observes, quote, "These two seemingly benevolent attributes, when combined, can be thought of as dangerous and are often the reasons why women so easily become the victims of domestic terrorism. We are more inclined to become whistleblowers. That nurturing instinct kicks in, and when something doesn't feel right, the verbal abilities kick in, and it is the female employee who'll point out the health hazard, illegal labor practices, so forth and so on. It is now a known fact that whistleblowers are oftentimes victims of malicious targeting." There's also the brutal and often deadly forms of physical abuse and domestic violence that women suffer. However, now that there is a fair amount of attention being given to DV awareness, those types of sadistic men who cannot openly or physically torment us have begun to make use of this touchless torture, thereby helping to put us in that 70 to 75% bracket of targeting. Meadows states clearly, quote, "The covert criminal stalking and criminal harassment and abuse of women with biological, chemical compounds, and remote weapons is a great way for psychologically twisted men to continue to commit violence against the object of their fantasies and obsessions, and to continue to maim, torture, and destroy them, and not get apprehended and punished for doing so. Sometimes the isolation that is almost inherent in gang stalking can keep a woman from knowing that she is perhaps one of maybe 10 to 20 other women in her city who are also suffering under various forms of targeting and organized harassment. If that is the case, then reading this section of Surviving and Thriving might be one of only a few means that a female T.I. will learn that there are others like her struggling and enduring this gender torture. There is a relief and an easing of this heavy burden upon simply learning that what we're dealing with has a name, it's not in our minds, and that we are not alone. ArtisticMinistry.net gives Meadows' work the full 40 points in the final category, sensitivity towards any compromised population within the T.I. community, and also our endorsement for recommending this book as a sturdy weapon in our arsenal of armaments for fighting this war not of flesh and blood. Shalom. Hey everybody, this is Saporier Bream from ArtisticMinistry.net, and thanks for checking out the first episode in the new series Arm Yourself with Knowledge. Please leave your thoughts and comments down below. Also let us know of any books you'd like to have reviewed or that you would recommend for other empowered individuals. As always, give this vid a thumbs up and share it with others. Click the bell so that you're always alerted to more helpful and informative content from ArtisticMinistry.net. And be sure and visit our website if you're interested in checking out the podcast, This Fiery Trial, and to stay on top of the exciting upcoming vlogcast for the pulling down of strongholds. You will not want to miss any episodes, that I promise. Or check out our website for a link to our store, Creative Gospel Expressions, at Zazzle.com for t-shirts, postcards, hoodies, and other empowered individual keepsakes. With that in mind, please stay tuned for this important word from our sponsor. Shalom, everybody.
Say, feel that bass. We gon' shake up this place. Say, pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Everybody say, feel that bass. Yeah, we gon' shake up this place. Pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Say, dreams to chase. Yeah, we ain't losing this race. Say, we got faith. Yeah, we know what it's gonna take. Ain't nobody gotta do for me what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Yeah, stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, ain't nobody gotta do for me